here, you can see the floor at the bottom of this channel. The only time it's been touched was going back to the crisis, and it's starting over here. Again, since this is a parallel channel, it comes all the way down, touching the low point over here of the bear market, the last test of the channel before the breakout and start of that bull run. My expectations going forward are one of two things. Number one is that price does not take out the lower end of this channel. If it does, something is wrong. This time is different. It's coming in roughly in June, around $28,000. If price were to trade below that, that to me is saying something's wrong. Now, I would not sell my Bitcoin. I would continue to hold my spot Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, unless something fundamentally changes about Bitcoin itself, like a bug in the code, I continue to hold, understanding the bullish case for Bitcoin, but I would have to then question all of my current thesis as far as price expectations, and what is going on with the adoption and what's going on with future adoption of Bitcoin. All right, now, what I do believe is going to happen, my expectations for what's going to happen, is that we are going to be looking at price trading up here, $60,000. You can see this is coming in at $58,300, and that is just using a 107.17 return ever since and going back to the start of this 8-year parallel channel. This is going back to 2015, right? Now, it's arbitrary whether or not you add 2 more years, and come back over here to January 2013, because you could see what we saw was a big move up and then a reversion to the mean. You see price continuing to slightly rise up, staying along the incline. The incline's coming in at 107.17 year over year. You could see a big move up, followed by the reversion to the mean, and price continuing to rise year over year, 107.17. And that continues. We had the deviation over here during the dollar liquidity crisis. We could have another crisis. Normally, crises normally they're unexpected. Riding that crash to the downside, Head Snack talks about the markets are not crashing, but when they are, I do hope that we have the presence to make sure we know what's going on. Right now, the markets are not crashing. Now, price is not often below that yellow line, that line of mean, that price line, that's had the trajectory of the 107.17, right? Now, there are times that it goes below it. It's not often. Price is normally above it. And you can see during these phases over here, during these stealth accumulations, before the next bull run, price starts sloping upwards. That's my hope. My hope is that price is just going to go ahead and slope upwards over the course of the rest of the year. It could be, ups and downs in between, but by the end of the year, that at least price is trading around $60,000, and most likely it's above. Price is normally above that line. So those are the expectations of where we are right now. We'll just try to keep that looking at over the next 2 to 3 months. Yeah, it's possible right now the floor is around $28,000. I don't expect that Bitcoin takes that out. If it does, I do believe this time is different. Same thing over here with where we're going as we're jumping this chasm. What's really neat, what's really interesting, but I do believe that there will be a lot of people, a lot of retail at that point front running the halving, possibly also some hedge funds, institutions. It could get at that point set off it could start and actually get going what is needed for a nice bull run on Bitcoin. When we're looking at returns, or the way that I'm looking at returns, obviously you're seeing that they're pretty steady, and they've been steady for the duration that we've been in this channel. Going back to 2013, the trajectory of the yellow line continues to be 107.17. I imagine that's what's going to continue until it no longer does. That's a breath. Let's play some Head Snack here and then continue. How about that? Boom.
markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room. Grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
All right, Zach, thanks for building me up there. You know, there's so much that I've spent basically the last 24 hours just, trying to dial in and detail this stuff as much as possible. Even coming up, obviously you all know that for each session, I spend a great deal of time preparing instead of going to the CTM group. And that's because I've been just spending all this time just like in that creative phase, getting that stuff out. And there was so much I wanted to share with you. I didn't get a chance to practice how that will be presented. Just kind of went cold. But nevertheless, I'm very excited. Really good stuff, right? Let's keep going because there's more we want to talk about, right? This is also interesting. TechDev is talking about the distribution that took place back in April and May 2021. If you invert the current price of Bitcoin, you have a very similar setup occurring. That would be, instead of distribution, accumulation that's been taking place. What's really interesting, and notice the one difference, though, let me point out, is that you had the lower low, because this is inverted, in January, and Bitcoin has not been able to take out that low, right? You have February lows, March lows, and now we're retesting that area right over here. Now, in the other time, back off the top, on the distribution top, you had over here in March, then in April, Bitcoin made a higher high. So these are flip-flopped. That's different, but nevertheless, where price makes that final high, and then you could take right under there that support low, right? So there's that high and that support low. That's where the bear flag, I called it a bear flag. I should call it, that's where the bear trap is being set. If indeed we break out of the wedge, right? Break to the upside. This is inverted, so down to the downside. But interesting how they both came to that area over there. And yeah, I mean, look, I've tried to talk about the inversion of the distribution that was taking place up there. This is illustrated way nicer. And here's another look at it as well, right? And this is kind of showing very simple. The red is the top, right? The yellow's the bottom of that range. And then look at that grab over there and then the rollover. Invert that same thing currently still in play. And since then, you should be like your overall near-term bias should be bullish unless we break down over here, losing 35,000 I have as the channel support. That would probably go in and test the all-time lows on Bitcoin. So there we are. That's pretty crisp and clear. I have this up because I am worried, right? We saw that the equity markets, hey, let's bring them up, the equity markets. Let's talk about it right now. Let's get into a little bit of CTM 2.0. Boom, 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 boom. Jamie, glad to see you. Gio, thank you. Thank you so much. I love working together and doing the work that we do. It's absolutely, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's going to produce so much fruit. I know it. By the way, in yesterday's session, we were looking at some questions from, right? If you didn't see yesterday's session and you're kind of just joining us, or you're just like it's time to begin and get studying caught up, start with yesterday's session. Excellent. You can find it in the Discord announcements channel.